My next guest returns to the cage May 18th against Zak Cummings at UFC Rochester. It is Trevin Giles back here on the program. And Trevin, we're a day removed from Easter long weekend. How is Easter with the family, especially being a new father?
The holiday seasons are pretty great, being able to be with the family, and see everybody and stuff. But for the most part, sometimes it takes a lot of planning and a lot of moving around and traveling. So it wasn't that much work now. We just sat at the house, watched some Netflix and just relaxed our newborn.
So it's been a while since we've seen you in the cage. For those who haven't been following along, you went and became a police officer full time. You finished school. You've been doing that. I think people would like to know ahead of this fight, when did training start ramping up a little bit? Was it when you knew about this fight, or I think what people don't realize is that you've been in the gym the whole time, even while you've been working as a full time police officer.
Yeah. So I haven't really been sleeping much. But yeah, I've the training, of course, is ramped up. Once I found out that I was getting ready to actually have the fight and I got the schedule and everything, but it's always been there. But we always start pushing harder once we got the fight coming up.
What's your secret to getting through sleep? Are you a coffee guy? What are you? How are you able to get through with the lack of sleep?
Man, I drink the Bang energy drinks.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, those usually hold me over, especially working the night shift. It kind of hold me over all night.
There you go. Secret for all you dads out there. So, as far as the work schedule with the police force, when does that taper off, or does it taper off leading up to fight time?
I actually just the 2 weeks before the fight, I've taken off. Just for the weight cutting, to make sure that I got longer time to do that. It shouldn't be cutting too much, but just to be sure, I like to be on point as far as my weight. And working the night shift's not the best thing for that, especially all the places that are open at that time. It's hard to really get what you need that outside of a freaking salad. But yeah, around 2 weeks just for the weight cutting.
Okay. Do you anticipate this cut will be harder just because of the layoff and the the rigorous schedule as a police officer?
See, that's what I'm kind of wondering right now. It doesn't seem like it's going to be harder. I feel like I'm going to be heavier because I've been holding on to more water weight. Don't really know what that's about, but yeah, I think for this fight I'll for sure be heavier, but I don't think it'd be hard to cut though.
Being a police officer is a stressful job. Do you feel like in some ways having gone through sort of the full-time schedule of being a police officer has actually benefited your fight career, because you have to be pretty mentally tough to get in the cage? It's one thing to perform in the gym, but to actually perform under the big lights.
I think I don't think it translates over a whole lot. I think one thing that it does, us as fighters, most of us get really nervous. A lot of us are scared before the fight. That's just what it is. Anybody who tells you otherwise is insane or something. I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with them. But you always get those nerves. But I feel like it kind of puts things into perspective. Us getting in there and fighting is very small to a lot of stuff that goes on out there. So I think as far as that goes, the mental aspect of it and getting nervous about going in there and fighting, I'm curious to see how I'll feel fight night.
How do you feel like you match up against Zak Cummings here? Obviously, a lot of experience in the cage, 22-6 record. How do you feel like your skill set matches up against his?
I think it's a good matchup for me. I think that as far as my style goes and my athleticism, I don't see how he could beat me. I see. That doesn't really take away from him. The guy's tough. He's had his fights. He's been in there more times than I've been in there. And I've seen him take some shots. He seems like he's got some mental toughness. So that's important. That's a lot. He won't give up. He won't just give up. But he won't win either. I plan on going there, and I'd be really surprised if I didn't go out there and finish him around somewhere in the second round.
Okay, I like the confidence. Anything different for this training camp, or has it been just training at the same gym? You're at Elite, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I'm at Elite. No, nothing really different. I'm training with the same guys that I usually train with. I don't have any like really known names that I go and train with. Just a couple of guys that I know throughout the years that I've known that are kind of practitioners at their own specific thing, whether it's Muay Thai, wrestling, or jiu-jitsu. Um, so yeah, I kind of working with those guys, and if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Is there any thought down the line of doing any cross training? Because there's a couple good gyms in Texas. I know Texas is huge. It's not like, I'm saying like, they're all close together, but is that something that ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, yeah. If that comes, it depends. We'll see how what the future holds, but for right now, sometimes it can be hard, especially again working a freaking night shift and then still trying to find time to go and train and talk to all my training partners to see if they can schedule their time around when I'm going and working, and when I get off. It's kind of hard to go and travel. Uh, but I would, and I'd have to take the time off to do it though. But yeah, I mean, I could see myself doing it, but we'll see.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
I'm gonna have same old guys and my head coach, Eric, one of my friends Lee, and my boxing instructor Robert. Have those guys in there. They've been with me since day one, so we'll keep the same guys.
Do people ever recognize you when you're on the beat as a police officer, as a UFC fighter? Are you not that UFC famous yet?
No, no, I'm not anybody just yet.
Okay.
No, I
Is
don't.
that something you're anticipating though? Because I mean, your career. I mean, you're 11-0. It's soon enough you're going to be a household name. I mean, if you keep going the way things are, is that something you're anticipating with the job that people might recognize you as a UFC fighter?
You know what? I don't know. I think it's one of those things, man. Once people see you in a uniform, you just look different. If you've ever worked at a job where you see people and they're always in the uniform, and then all of a sudden you see them out of the uniform, you almost don't recognize them. I think it's one of those things.
Okay, fair enough. And speaking of the middleweight division, a lot has changed since you last competed. Where do you feel like you fit in there right now? Because you know how good you are. You know you've been putting the time in the gym. Where do you feel like you belong? Like, do you feel like you are a top 15 fighter at this point?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm probably gonna say what every fighter is gonna say or should say is I think I can beat anybody in the middleweight right now. I think all it just takes is the preparation, me knowing who I'm fighting, me being able to study their film, um, and I tell you like I tell everybody else. So in my mind, nobody in this world can beat me until they beat me. That's my attitude towards it. So right now, I'm the best until somebody proves me otherwise, and I mean that's how I approach every fight. I don't come to lose. So anybody I get in there with, I believe I'm gonna win.
Have you had a chance to watch the Israel Adesanya and Calvin Gastelum fight, which was one of the fights of the year, for the interim middleweight title?
Yeah, I watched it. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. I thought it was a pretty good matchup. Gastelum looked very relaxed. I mean, Israel did too. He always does. Um, but yeah, they're both like freaking tough. Yeah, I think one thing people that we're able to see from Israel from this last fight is his mental toughness, because Gastelum started trying to put it on him for a second. This is the most damage I've seen him. Um, and he didn't. I mean, when Adesanya got hit a couple of times and he got put in some tough situations, and he never seemed like he got to the point where it's like oh crap, he's on me. You know what I mean? Like, he was still mental tough, he was still himself, and he looked like he was still having fun, and he did his thing. So I thought it was interesting seeing John Jones say something about him afterwards and all that. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, what do you think of that? Because you're not a trash talking guy. Do you like seeing that stuff in the sport, or is that something you'd rather not see?
I think it depends. It depends if it's real. I think so many people go out there and they go to bumping their gums and they look stupid. Like, I think a lot of those guys look ridiculous out there trying to talk trash and be that kind of person. I kind of think Conor brought that upon the sport. He did so well with it that I think other guys are kind of trying to do the same thing, and it's just some guys it's not for them. I feel like everybody should just be themselves. If it comes upon you naturally to say something to somebody, I think that's more entertaining than the fake stuff and going out there and looking goofy.
Well, Trevin, you always keep it real in these interviews, and I appreciate it. Thanks again for doing the second one. Again, can't thank you enough, man, especially with everything that's going on, being a dad, being a police officer, and being a UFC fighter. It's UFC Rochester coming up here May 18th. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours.
So you can find me at Trevin Giles, just first and last name on Facebook. I actually think I was wrong in the interview before that.
So there you go. It's even better we did the second one.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's UFC underscore Trevin Giles or Trevin Giles underscore UFC. One of those.
Let's be honest. How many Trevin Giles are out there? I mean, it's probably safe if you type in Trevin Giles on Google, you can find the Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, right? I can't imagine there's too many.
Right. Yeah. You should be able to find me. And then just as far as shout outs, man, just first and foremost, just got to shout out my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I've been blessed enough to be able to do everything that I've set out to do. And to be able to have 2 careers right now, it's been great. And to have my newborn and everything, a beautiful wife, and just everything that I've got, all my opportunities. I like to shout out everybody at Elite Mixed Martial Arts, everybody that helps me out. The guys at the Houston Police Academy, you guys know who you are. That have been helping me out. I've been getting some training with those guys too. Just everybody that supports. Again, you James, I gave you one last time. I'll give you one this time. Just for all the interviews. Our interviews have been pretty good. I always enjoy them, so I appreciate that. And again, just everybody that supports and shows love.